Good morning, Flosstube. My name is Laura, and I'd like to welcome you to Stitching by the Shore, my channel all about cross stitch with a little bit of paper crafting thrown in too. Now, if you're new, this is going to be a little bit different video than what I normally put out on Fridays. So almost every Friday, I put out a regular Flosstube video, and we talk about everything I've stitched that week and all sorts of other fun stuff that we do. This week's going to be a little bit different because my schedule is a little bit off. So I'm going to do, as you could tell by the title, a Flosstube Extra, and then next week, hopefully, as well as everything can and work out schedule-wise, I will be back to the regular Flosstube. So I hope you will stick around and check that out next week too if you're new. And if you're returning stitching friends, oh, this video, these things needed to get going. So I hope you like what I'm doing. At the beginning of 2024, you know how we all make our plans, and I had a whole bunch of different plans. And one of them that I thought would be fun, right, was to try to do 55 full finishes because I turned 55 this year. And they could be anything from as small as a little trading card all the way up to a big piece. I don't have any really big pieces yet fully finished, but you know the point. Even if I had to, at some point, I'll have ones that are big enough that I'll probably take to framing, but I figure those count too because they'd be fully finished. So I started off the year doing pretty good, and I know a few of you had asked, hey, how's it going? Because I haven't shown full finishes lately. And I'll be honest, I've stalled. I'm having so much fun stitching my pieces that I get them finished and in the drawer they go, and then they don't get fully finished. And that was part of the goal of this challenge for myself this year. So I kind of set aside finishing time during the days of this week rather than just stitching during my crafty time. I do a little bit of stitching and then I would do some finishing. I tell you, finishing takes longer than you think, right? I had so many other things prepared to be fully finished. And like stitching, which takes longer than you think, so does fully finishing. But I ended up with 12 finishes, so I thought it'd be fun to go through them. I have framed pieces, I have ornaments, and I have scrapbook pages. So I have a little bit of everything. I'm super excited. And I'm going to start with the framed pieces. Nothing fancy. I did them all myself, and none of them are so tied in that they can't be fixed. I'm going to let them sit because I haven't done a lot of framing, and I'm going to see how they work and if I need to tweak anything. So it's kind of a learning journey for myself as well. And of course, anytime you have any suggestions, I always love to hear the voice of experience. Okay, so let's start with my framing. They're all very simple and ironically very much the same color scheme. Most of my framing, a lot of it would be in this room. And as you can see, a lot of my furniture is white. So I do pick colors that will go with that. The walls are kind of a grayish blue. But even more so, I go by my gut feeling what color will look good with my piece. And so if an orange frame popped out and said, you know what, this is perfect, knowing me, I'd probably pick it even if it doesn't necessarily match. So we take the decor of this room and put it maybe aside a little bit and really look at the pieces themselves. I knew all along though, I wanted a white frame for this. So I'm so excited to finally get this one finished. This is my little shamrock piece. For those of you who may have joined me along this journey within the last couple of years, you wouldn't have known that a little over 2 years ago, we lost our adorable little Havanese shamrock. He was the light of our lives, so much so that no, we haven't gotten another dog yet. We may never not, but I'm not sure. But I knew that when I saw this piece, I had to stitch him. And what's really funny is I showed this to Mo, and Shamrock had kind of some disorders, and one of which was he had trouble digesting. And one of the things that the vets had talked about was giving him some pumpkin, just pumpkin pureed. They're just plain old pumpkin, because that would help, fiber, calories, the whole bit. So he was a little white dog, and he always had kind of like an orangey, even after we'd clean his face after he ate, he would always have this orange tinge. He was our pumpkin Who's our pumpkin pirate? Shamrock. So the fact that this piece actually had orange, when I showed this to Mo, that was the first thing Mo said, and it was just so funny. So it makes us smile. I wanted to keep it super, super simple. So I basically, there's not even the glass on this one. This frame actually came in a 2-set. I didn't even know that. It worked out kind of nicely. It was a 2-pack that I'm going to show you the other frame as well. What I did was I put a layer of batting down over the glass. I tried it without the batting and it buckled a little bit too much and I couldn't really get it straight. And then I just placed it over the glass and put it in. Nothing is secured or tied. I may try doing something like lacing, or in some cases, I'm going to talk about another thing I did with one of my other pieces that I kept the glass. I could do that with the glass part if I choose to. If I like it, I'm going to let it sit for a while. But so super simple here, just the layer of batting and then this over the glass. So it was a nice way for me to use. These frames actually had kind of one of those, they were more plexiglass-ish. I didn't even take the film off of them. So there's like a film on it right now that when you go to use it, you take it off. And I didn't do that. So this way, at some point, I could still use it. Or if I decide to attach this to that, it's just on the actual film part. So this is, I believe, a 7x7 piece. I knew I wanted a square, and it's not 100% even, you know, with each sides, but I thought it was perfect. And really, that adorable face, that's all I'm ever going to look at. I'm never going to look at the frame and be like, ooh, that section might be a little bit more than that. So that's my very first, that's my Shamrock. So this piece has been finished for a while, and this will go on. I have some floating shelves, and I think that's where it's going to go on. This frame does have, you know, a thing that you could stand it up against. So if I decide I want to put it somewhere else up in this area upstairs in the crafty area, then I'll do that. So that's frame number 1. So let's do the piece that was framed with the same exact frame. I didn't think I was going to go with a white frame on this, but after having a think about it, I think I do like it, and I'm going to keep it this way. So this one right here, begin each day with a grateful heart. Part of me wanted to scrapbook it, but part of me also wanted to have this out and about. If you know, I've talked about my planners before, and one thing I do in just the monthly section is each day I write down something that I'm grateful for. And so it doesn't always start at the beginning of the day, but it's not a bad thing for me to remember. And to look at it, you'd say, okay, maybe you would go with the dark. But in the end, I didn't want something that was darker like the browns, because I wanted this to be a bright thought. I wanted this to be something that wasn't kind of dark. And with the white, with the blue kind of not electric, but a bright blue, I thought the white was really nice, and then it just pulls everything in together. So like the Shamrock piece, I have the layer of batting, and then I just folded that over the glass, and then I was able to put the backings back on, because by using the glass, I'm not adding any extra layers, and it's easy just to put it back on there. In fact, I don't know, sometimes you know how they give that little kind of, not styrofoam, but whatever that little piece is. I don't think I even needed that with these, but it would have been possible if need be. So each of these have a slight little kind of puffiness to them. Don't they look cute? Oh, really like them. And so this is another one that I would like to kind of have out as kind of a reminder for me on a regular basis. Most of the frame pieces, they may or may not, I suppose some of them could be seasonal, like Lady Halloween, but that one even was such a fun piece to do. I might keep it out all the time. Okay, so this is the one that you knew was coming if you've been watching me. This is Mo's Aston Villa piece. I gave it to him for our anniversary, our 25th anniversary, and he loved it. And he immediately put it on the bookshelves. We had to go in to his office here at the house and rearrange things because he wanted my opinion on where to put it so that it would have, you know, it would look the best. And so we ended up figuring that out, and it immediately went on his shelves for work. This is another basic frame from Amazon. On this one, I did not do any batting or anything. It is just over the glass. And I think because it's small enough and it kind of fits tight enough in here, this is a chunkier sort of frame than the other ones you saw. It works well. The color scheme goes well with all the other pictures he has on that bookcase. In hindsight, if I had more time, maybe I would have gotten one. So this frame is a 3.5 by 5 opening, which just fits it right. If I had to think about it, maybe I would have done a 4 by 6 just to show some more of the gray background. But I didn't necessarily want it to do that because the whole idea was the badge. And so I wanted to make sure that was front and center. And this frame does have one of these. So he does use that on his bookshelf there. And he just props it up. So it is finished. It got done for my anniversary. And I was able to give him on the actual day. Yay! All that hard work there at the end paid off. Now this last piece, I did keep the glass, so I assume that when I go to show it to you, we're going to have some glare, but that's okay. We'll just work with it. This one, I wasn't necessarily sure whether or not I was going to keep the glass, but I tried it without, and then I tried it with, and I really did like the glass on this one. And that's all it is for me, is an aesthetic thing. Whether or not the glass is on there otherwise really is not, doesn't faze me one way or the other. So again, simple frame. I knew I wanted a white frame with this as well because I really wanted that really pretty blue fabric to pop out. Luckily, this just fit a frame. I don't know what size this one is. If it's a 6 by 8, and you only stitch half of the lighthouse, so it came out perfectly in that sense. And I was thinking I have, right above where the light, and this one doesn't have any, what are those called? The little holder things that you could stand it up, but I could put it on the shelving if I wanted or make it a leaner. But I was thinking over the light switch, I have a little bit of space and I might put this one and actually hang it up on the wall. And then I have the other cottage garden lighthouse that I'm stitching with the same fabric, so I may end up trying to put it there as well. I could almost have like a little beachy wall in that little corner area right there. I'm not sure. It's all subject to change. So this one, what I did was I took comic book board, I wrapped my stitched piece around it and just adhered it just like I would ornaments or anything like that. So I use acid-free tape. I know there is some that's like a stitchery tape, which I'm going to try. I actually ordered some. I'm using the ones that I use for scrapbooking, which, obviously also work as well. And so I just basically kind of fit it in there over the comic book board, attached it, put it in, and kept the glass. So that's that one. So those are my 4 framed pieces. I'm super excited to get some things framed. There are Mary Poppins and Lady Halloween. I was kind of hoping to get done as well. Mary Poppins, again, these are basic frames for the most part because I just really want my stitching to pop. Mary Poppins, I just didn't get to. I think the frame will be fine that I chose. Lady Halloween, I actually think I want to go to Michael's and see if I can find something that is not 100% plain. I think I do want to try to get something that has a little bit more of a pattern to it. So stay tuned on that one. Okay, next, moving on to ornaments. I did finish 2, let's put one of these up here. So we just have it up. Normally I put my scrapbook pages there, but let's put that up there. I finished 2 diamond painted ugly sweater ornaments. So I got those done. Let me show you those. I'm finding diamond painting very relaxing, and I had an idea for the ornaments. So these are the 2 that I did. And then I just played off. I've been using baker's twine because these are supposed to be ugly sweaters, right? So we want something that's kind of chunky, sweater-ish. And I thought the baker's twine was just perfect with that. I decided to feed into the green, from the green on the sweater on this one. And then I just leaned into the red on that one and did a red top there. These are blank on the back, which is fine. They're going to be ornaments and hung against the tree. So it doesn't really matter. A lot of the handmade ornaments I've done are all blank on the black and blank on the back, and it doesn't bother me. But I thought what would be fun, in the guest bedrooms, I always put up pencil trees in the corners and then decorate them. And I thought it would be fun to put my diamond painted ornaments, or some of them, because I'm enjoying doing them. I want to order some more sets and decorate the trees with some of these. And then if anybody who is visiting wants to take, if they have an ornament that they particularly like, then they are welcome to take it and take it for their tree. I thought that would be fun. So I've got a whole bunch of the ugly sweaters, some of which I've done, some I still have to do, and then I want to get some more of the sets and see. So if there's a set that you've done that you really enjoy, let me know. I'd love to see what you've done. But I thought that would be a lot of fun because these take, no time at all. This probably took me about an hour to actually do the diamond painted part of it. I find it very relaxing mentally, so it's kind of a mental health kind of release thing too, which I enjoy. And for that amount of time, if somebody wants to take one of the ornaments, they are welcome to. And then it would just, because there's only so many of those you can do anyway, right? And then I'll put some on my crafty tree up here in the craft room. So those are the diamond painted ornaments. Then I have 3 stitched ornaments that I finished, and they're all Halloween. I had other things pulled out. Again, just didn't get to them, but I said, you know what, let's get to the Halloween ones. I have a little one of those Hirschner trees, and then I also have the little loops underneath my hanging shelves, my floating shelves, so there's plenty of areas for me to put what I would consider ornaments. Now, I thought I did all 3 of these. I'm going to show you them as a set, and then there's 2, and then I'll separate. These are part of Primrose Cottage Stitches. They had for different holidays and seasons, I think, just different trios of kind of like the postage stamp looking ones. And I thought I stitched all 3. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I have one more to stitch. This is the first one here. This is Eek Boo Shriek. And 18 count is what I've stitched all of these on. And I thought it'd be fun to have. I like to have ornaments of all different sizes. And for that Hirschner's tree, you need smaller ornaments because it's a small little tabletop thing. So I leaned into, on this one, I leaned into the purple that's in the words. And of course, the fabric itself is purple. And so I just found some fabric that I put on the back of another layer. So I put my stitched piece over comic book board, and then I do another layer of whatever with comic book board on that, and then I just do felt on the back. Simple, easy, nothing super fancy. And then I did some grosgrain, say that fast, black ribbon for them. So that's that one. This one had a lot more oranges in it, so I thought it'd be fun to lean into the orange, and I really like how it came out. One thing you'll find about me when I'm doing finishes, no matter what kind, I like to play off the colors of whatever's in there and that make that pop if I can. Not always happens, but, and so it was, to me, a no-brainer. I didn't want this one in orange because there was a lot of purple, but this one almost screamed that it had to be in orange. So the same exact finish on both of them, just with 2 different color backing fabrics. So those are done. So those can go pretty much any time. We're at the end of September on my little Hirschner's tree. And then I pulled this one out and I got this one finished. So this is a little bit bigger. This would go more, I use, one of my things that I do is glue gun, and there's always those little strands that you always have to go through and find and pick out from the little strands of the glue. This one would be more apt to hang off of one of the hooks underneath my floating shelves because it is bigger. I don't have a specific tree for Christmas, a regular size, not Christmas, for Halloween. Maybe if I start doing more and more ornaments that are fall and Halloween, maybe I'll pull the tree out early or get a tree that's more for that holiday. But for now, I don't have anything. So this piece right here, I did end up, I wanted to keep a bigger frame of the fabric. And it is a hand-dyed fabric, but it's a pretty neutral based one. I kept the extra layer, and then I did a really, really tight layer of fabric there. And I decided on this one, the black was probably the best because the frame was black. And so I wanted that to kind of fade into the fabric and the frame to fade into each other because the cat with the pumpkin is the most adorable part of this piece. And this time I used a black twill ribbon instead. I wanted it a little bit thicker than these. So these are probably 3/8 of an inch. And I don't think this is a full 1/2 an inch. Maybe this is a 1/4 inch and this is 3/8 of an inch. I'm not really sure, but it is a little bit bigger. It's substantial enough to hold it. And again, very simple. One thing you'll learn about me if you are new to my channel is I like things very simple and minimal when it comes to everything around my stitch piece. I want the stitch piece generally to be the one thing that pops. So that's that. So those are my ornaments. 2 diamond painted, 3 stitched. So we had 5 ornaments. And so that would bring us up to 9. And now I have 3 scrapbook pages that I did. Again, I spent a lot of time putting interfacing on the back of quite a few stitches. So I'm looking here at my table, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 pieces that have interfacing and are cut down, but I just didn't get to. And then there's 2 other pieces I'm looking at that I did not get to putting the interfacing on. So again, grand plans didn't quite happen, but now that I have the interfacing on them and they're cut down, I have the chance to be able to get them done sooner. And I want to say maybe if I'm lucky, I've hit 28, 29 full finishes. So I have quite a bit to go before I hit 55. And I'm doing it through the year. My birthday is at the end of October, but I'm giving myself through the end of December. So I still have a shot. All right, so the first one was this adorable little piece. I stitched this a while ago. Now I keep all of my scrapbook pages in a page protector and they go in the scrapbook that way. Or sometimes you'll see them, I'll have them displayed here. Sometimes they're displayed on my shelves, however I do it. But I always keep them in the page protector just to keep the stitch safe, to keep the edges of whatever the base I've put it on safe. And they're acid free because they're for scrapbooking. So I feel fine about using them. But you are going to get a little bit of glare because I wanted to keep them in the protectors to keep them safe. All 3 that I'm doing here were super simple. I did them this morning actually. And I did that purposely, partly because I wanted to get a few finishes, but also because I wanted to show you that if you don't know what to do with your pieces and you thought about scrapbooking them, it doesn't have to be super elaborate. Some of my scrapbook pages are definitely, there's way more to them. And, you know, they've got stickers or ribbons or tapes or whatever. But sometimes it's just some paper and some cardstock, and that's all it is. And these 3, that's exactly what you're going to get. So that's why I thought it'd be fun to show you these. If you are interested, I do have a playlist on how to scrapbook your stitches. At least my version of it. I'm sure there's many other ways that people do it too. All right, so here's my little piece. I wanted to play into the orange and the kind of aqua. And then I also wanted, you know, I was looking for something kind of beachy without being overtly beachy. So I had this pattern paper that I had used for another scrapbook page. And so I had another 6 inches because it was a 12 by 12 piece. And it basically is a gradation of lighter to darker colors. So I ended up putting the lighter up there as the sky and then down here to represent the water a bit more. And so, what's nice is too, is that kind of matches there. And so this way it kind of feeds into the theme and the color scheme of this piece. And I did do double layers on my scrapbook piece, on my, under my stitched piece. I do like to layer my stitched pieces. Not always. The next one you're going to see is not layered. But sometimes, depending on what's behind it, it gives it, even if it's a nice, actually, especially if it's a nice thin layer, you pull one color out with that thin layer, and then the background has another color, and that way it really ties everything together. But here's one that I did that doesn't have any backing directly layered onto the stitched piece. So this one I finished sometime this year. I don't really remember. And it was going to fit in the 8.5 by 11. So the book will go like this. So you'd have to turn, you know, kind of turn the book to see. But I have, actually the one on the second one I've done is also the same shape. And it's fine. It's kind of like, you know, when you scrapbook, sometimes you have layouts that are in different directions. But this one I decided to find, I had found this scrapbook paper that it's kind of like stars almost, and it's a little bit darker red than the stitched red here, but I thought it worked well and it kind of went with the theme. This piece, you're going to say, doesn't look exactly like the original from the Stitching with the Housewives. That's because I took quite a bit out and changed it quite a bit. You'd have to go back. I can't remember when this year. I could look in my book if you wanted to know about when I finished it, so you could hear me talk about it in my video if you were looking to kind of simplify it a little bit. But this worked out perfectly size-wise. I could have made this a little bit longer or made this a little bit tighter, but sometimes I like the uneven borders. In fact, you're going to see that on the other one as well. So these two evenly spaced, these two evenly spaced, but it just gives it some interest that they're not all four always even. And sometimes I love it perfectly even all the way around. Sometimes I don't. So that's that piece. And then the very last scrapbook page is my Garden of Zig. If you've been around since May, you would have known that this was a fun little stitch along that was a secret stitch along. Everybody who chose to stitch it chose their own fabric and flosses and didn't show anybody until a big reveal. I ended up going with red, white, and blue because I thought it'd be kind of fun to do kind of the red, white, and blue colors for the US flag. And it worked out perfectly, so that made it easy too. I think part of it was I wasn't sure what to do. So this one here, I ended up keeping the bigger border just because I kind of wanted to frame it itself with the fabric. So it almost feels like it has a chunky frame. And then I knew I wanted blue, navy blue, and red, but I didn't know in which direction. But when I tried it both ways, red really close to the piece, and then blue is the base and vice versa. But the blue matches a bit more with the gray. So that looked a little bit better. And then the red just pops everything out from there. So again, this is a page in the book. This may stay like this in the book because they're both kind of patriotic, but you would turn and just have to look, and then you turn to the next page, and this would be on the other side. But that's how it got finished there. If you have any questions about any of the pieces that I showed you, who they were designer-wise, what fabric I might have used, or any changes I might have done, just reach out and let me know. I figured I wasn't going to try to go back and do all that for this video. It was more about the finishes. And so I'm super excited that I have 12 finishes to show you. So I am 12 more along now. I didn't do a final count. I meant to on my book before I filmed, but if I remember, I'll put it in my next Flosstube video. So that's it. How are your full finishes going? We've got 3 more months this year if you want to kind of join me on a full finish sort of journey and see what we can get done by the end of 2024. So next time when I see you for a regular Flosstube, we will have hit October, which means I'm not 100% sure, keep an eye out, around October 1st, I may do another Flosstube extra, either the 30th or the 1st. I think the 1st is a Tuesday, so that might work out well. And I want to talk about October things because I'm thinking on Friday when I film, there's going to be a lot of stitching to show you, and we may not be able to talk a lot about different plans and ideas and things for October. So keep an eye out for that. You might see another extra video from me, and then hopefully then October 4th, we'll be back on the regular Friday schedule. So that's it. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I hope you liked my full finish, my 1 dozen finishes video, and until next time, happy stitching.